For the second time in 5 days, NASA has postponed its attempt to launch the Artemis due to a propellant leak. No date has been set for the third attempt so far, though, and joining me live now is CSIRO NASA Tracking Station spokesperson Glen Nagle. Glen, so I had hoped that the next time we would talk, Artemis would be well and truly on the way, but it's not to be. So how disappointing for you that it's still stuck on Earth?
Yeah, actually, I've heard this word a lot in the last few days, that it's disappointing, but actually I'm quite thrilled, really, because it does prove that NASA is not going to have go fever. They'll go when they're ready with this rocket. And the good news, particularly on this launch attempt, there was no problem with the rocket itself. It was actually the fuel lines coming from the pad.
So how different was that to the first one?
So for the first one, it was the engine, the third engine on the rocket, that just wasn't chilling down properly. They found out after a review after that launch attempt that it was actually a fuel sensor that was giving a false reading there. So the engine itself was probably fine. But this time, yeah, definitely the fuel line coming into the rocket wasn't seating properly. And so they were getting a little bit of a fuel leak there.
How tricky is that one to fix?
So it's going to be an interesting one. They have to get to the pad. They'll have to make sure that there's no issues of safety there. They may end up having to roll the rocket back to the vehicle assembly building, its big launch centre, to be able to take that section apart and see if it's maybe just a gasket. So think of it like the garden hose that you have at home, just not seating properly there, getting a little bit of a spray leak. Not quite the same with a rocket, of course, but they'll get that, refit it, and hopefully next third attempt will be the lucky one.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to ask you next. There's still no firm date on that. When do you expect? Is there a window that you've got your eye on?
So at this stage, the next potential launch attempt would be the 19th of September through to early October. And then they have to wait till the second half of October, because on the 3rd of October, they're actually planning to launch a crew up to the International Space Station using a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. So they have to clear the range for that particular launch. And also the moon has to be in the right spot. So there's only a couple of weeks each month where they can launch successfully.
Okay, so and then after that, I mean, are we starting to push into next year? I mean, when are the next kind of windows available?
So there's a few more windows through till the end of December, and they have actually got plans right through until July next year. But I think that they've sort of worked out most of the problems. The launch vehicle was in really good condition for this second launch attempt, so it was just that fueling on the launch pad side. If they can work out that problem, I think they'll go for launch.
Right, okay, so it's a good thing that it's not manned, because this would be, I'm sure, irritating for astronauts if they were going to be on board, this stop-start kind of thing. But for the staff who are kind of manning it from the ground, from control stations, etc., what's the mental mindset there? Are they like you? Are they kind of relieved that that if things aren't right, then we'll get it right next time?
Yeah, so they're very experienced, and everything is a learning process, especially with a brand new rocket. This is not an unusual thing, even if there were crews on board. Space shuttles, they had many, many delays. We just think of all those wonderful 135 flights that the space shuttle flew over 30 years, but there were delays. There were times when the vehicle had to roll back to the pad. And then you've got to think right back to the Apollo days. Apollo 1, there was an accident on the launch pad that took the lives of 3 astronauts. Yeah. We don't want scenarios like that happening, so we want to make sure that this rocket is perfect, that it goes well, and so in 2025, we can set foot again on the surface of the moon. Okay, Glen Nagle, appreciate that. Thank you, Glen. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, hopefully, when Artemis is on its way. Chat to you soon. Thanks, Peter. I look forward to it.